Ladies and gentlemen, it's yours. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, now, welcome to the UNIgreen International Conference 2026. It is a great pleasure to have you all here today, and we thank you for joining us for an afternoon dedicated to dialogue, collaboration, and shared commitment to the green transition. This conference brings together representatives from academia, industry, public authorities, and civil society, reflecting the core belief of UNIgreen, that sustainable transformation can only be achieved through strong cross-sector partnerships. Before we begin, we would like to warmly welcome all participants who have traveled from different regions and countries to be with us today, as well as those representing institutions, projects, and initiatives aligned with sustainability, innovation, and social responsibility. To officially open this conference, it is our honor to invite Professor 𝐏𝐚𝐫𝐭𝐧𝐿, President of the Polytechnic University of Coimbra, to deliver the opening address.
Good afternoon, everybody. Doutora Ana Cristina Perdigão, National Director of the Erasmus Agency, Dr. Luís Filipe, representative de Coimbra City Council, Dr. Tomás Lourença, UNIgreen General Coordinator, Professor Carlos Engler Antunes, our distinguished keynote speaker, honorable representatives of national and European institutions, and in particular, representatives of higher education institutions that are part of the UNIgreen Alliance. Dear representatives of partners, organizations and projects, representatives of students' associations, of the Polytechnic University of Coimbra, and representative of the Erasmus Student Network. Dear faculty members, researchers, students and staffs, all the Polytechnic University community. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I welcome you to the Polytechnic University of Coimbra for the UNIgreen Summit and International Conference. On behalf of our institution, I would like to thank all the partners of the Alliance for being here today, as well as all the invited guests whose presence greatly enrich this summit. It is an honor for Polytechnic University of Coimbra to host this international event. Welcoming UNIgreen in this context is for us a source of pride, of great pride, and at the same time a unique opportunity to strengthen our active contribution to the European Alliance that shares fundamental values such as sustainability, innovation, cooperation, and social responsibility. Since joining UNIgreen, the Polytechnic University of Coimbra has carried out consistent and committed work, actively participating in the governance bodies and working groups, as well as in the Alliance projects and various initiatives. This involvement has been clearly reflected in several areas, namely in the growth of the international mobility, particularly within UNIgreen, encompassing our entire academic community, students, academic staff, and technical and administrative staff, and promoting a truly European experience of learning, teaching, and cooperation. At the same time, it is important to highlight the UNIgreen. These activities made it possible to deepen academic and scientific cooperation between partner institutions, promoting the sharing of knowledge and methodologies, and foster joint responses to complex challenges related with sustainability, innovation, and green transition, thereby strengthening the European dimension of our teaching and research. I would like to emphasize the recent and enthusiastic participation of our students in the UNIgreen governance bodies, which is very clear sign that this alliance is built with and for students, reinforcing their role as aware, engaging European citizens committed to the challenges of the future. In parallel, we have witnessed the growing interest from our academic community in learning more about UNIgreen, participating in its initiatives, and joining this European network, which opens up new opportunities for collaboration, mobility, and innovation. The UNIgreen Summit and International Conference represent that's a particularly relevant moment for the exchange of experience and best practice in the field of sustainability, marking a new step in the Alliance journey and in the achievement of its strategic objectives. Hosting this event, the Polytechnic University reinforces our role as an institution committed to innovation, sustainability, and international cooperation, with a direct impact not only on our academic community, but also on the region in which we are integrated. This theme of this conference, building partnerships between academia, industry, and community for the green transition, the role of UNIgreen, is especially relevant in the current European context. Nowadays, higher education institutions play a central role in the green transition, not only through education and research, but also as a key connectors between academia, industry, and wider community. Building such partnerships is essential to addressing in an integrated and sustainable way the major environmental, social, and economic challenges we face. This meeting is intended to contribute to strengthening the network of contacts between partner institutions and to consolidating a collaborative European community oriented for the future challenges. European university alliances have been decisive in increasing and diversifying mobility opportunities and reinforcing the sense of belonging to a shared European space, involving students, academic staff, researchers, and technical administrative staffs. And UNIgreen is a clear example of this positive impact. I sincerely hope that the work carried out throughout this conference will be fruitful, that it will promote knowledge sharing, inspire new ideas, and represent a significant step forward in the journey of our alliance. Maybe another firm step in the consolidation of UNIgreen, and may its mission and values reach an ever-growing number of people, institutions, and communities. I cannot conclude this speech without expressing my deep gratitude to the team that represents and works tirelessly for UNIgreen and at the Polytechnic University of Coimbra, as well as extending a word of recognition to Maria João, who initiated this project at our institution. We are very welcome to our Polytechnic University. I wish you an excellent conference and a very pleasant stay in Coimbra. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Cândida Malsa. We now have the pleasure of welcoming Luís Filipe, Councillor at the Coimbra City Council.
Good afternoon to you all and welcome to Coimbra. Dear Professor Cândida Malsa, President of Polytechnic University of Coimbra, Doutora Ana Cristina Perdigão, National Director of 𝐏𝐚𝐫𝐭𝐳𝐍, Professor Carlos Engler Antunes, Director of INES Coimbra, Professora Diolinda Rasteiro, Member of the UNIgreen Board, distinguished guests and representatives of the UNIgreen partner universities, dear students, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor and pleasure to be here today representing the municipality of Coimbra at this UNIgreen International Conference. I would like to begin by congratulating the Polytechnic University of Coimbra and the UNIgreen Alliance on the organization of this conference and choosing Coimbra as its host city. We are proud to welcome such a significant European initiative in a city with a long-standing academic tradition and a strong commitment to knowledge, innovation, and cooperation. I would also like to extend a warm welcome to all our UNIgreen members and to the European students who are with us today. Your presence enriches our city and highlights the truly European nature, shared, diverse, and collaborative. The green transition is one of the most pressing challenges of our time. It is a collective responsibility that requires concrete actions, sustained collaboration, and a long-term vision. Cities and local authorities have a crucial role to play in this process, as it is at the local level that public policies meet citizens, where innovation becomes a part of everyday life, and where sustainability is transformed into practical solutions. For this reason, partnerships between academia, industry, and community are essential. The UNIgreen Alliance, bringing together 8 higher education institutions from across Europe, is a strong example of how cooperation can generate meaningful impact. UNIgreen Alliance members share the common vision for higher education, one that places people, research, and knowledge transfer at its core, with actively reducing environmental impact. UNIgreen's ambition to become a leading European university is the field of sustainable agriculture, green biotechnology, and environmental and life science. It's both timely and inspiring. By equipping students and academic communities with the values, knowledge, and skills required for a climate-neutral and resource-efficient economy, UNIgreen plays a vital role in preparing future generations to lead to green transition. From the perspective of the municipality of Coimbra, this mission strongly aligns with our own strategic priorities. We greatly value the close collaboration with higher education institutions as a key partners in addressing challenges such as climate change, energy transition, sustainable mobility, and social inclusion. In closing, I wish you the most productive and inspiring conference here in Coimbra. I'm sure this conference will fortify the partnership, encourage new initiatives, and contribute decisively to a greener, more resilient, and more inclusive Europe. Thank you very much, and welcome to Coimbra.
Thank you, Mr. Councillor. And to conclude this opening session, we are honored to invite Ana Cristina Perdigão, National Director of the Erasmus Plus Agency, who will address the role of European programs in supporting innovation, partnerships, and sustainability in higher education.
Good afternoon, dear Polytechnic University of Coimbra President, Professora 𝐏𝐚𝐫𝐬𝐧𝐠, dear UNIgreen General Coordinator, Professor 𝐁𝐿𝐻𝐿orentzana, dear representative of Coimbra Municipality, Luís Filipe, distinguished guests, colleagues, partners, and guests at the beginning. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to join you here in Coimbra for the UNIgreen 2026 International Conference. I warmly congratulate the Polytechnic University of Coimbra for hosting this important event and for its strong engagement in European cooperation for sustainability, innovation, and knowledge transfer. The European Universities Initiative is one of the most transformative developments in higher education in recent years on Erasmus Plus program frame. These alliances are reshaping cross-border collaboration, creating integrated academic communities, and strengthening the link between universities, industry, and society. Portugal has shown a remarkable, steadily expanding commitment to this initiative. Today, in 2026, 29 Portuguese higher education institutions, almost all of the Portuguese comprehensive universities, with the Erasmus Charter, are active partners in 27 of the 64 European universities. This level of participation demonstrates not only national ambition, but also the strong capacity of Portuguese institutions to align with European priorities and contribute meaningfully to the construction of the European education area. UNIgreen is an excellent example of this commitment. The Alliance already delivers tangible impact, including the launch of this joint PhD program in agri-food science, technology, and biotechnology, jointly awarded by institutions in Italy, Spain, Bulgaria, Iceland, and Portugal. UNIgreen has also developed blended intensive programs, staff training initiatives, science weeks, and collaborative research missions enabling students and staff to work together on real sustainability challenges. UNIgreen also stands out for its engagement with communities and industry through initiatives such as ecological footprint offsetting, regional advisory centers, career fairs, and joint activities that bridge research, education, and local development. The Portuguese National Agency, Erasmus Plus, is proud to support this work. Through close collaboration with institutions, we will continue to strengthen the foundations that allowed these alliances to thrive and expand. UNIgreen illustrates how European cooperation can deliver meaningful, lasting changes. I wish to thank all the academics, students, staff, and of course, your president, and all the partners who contribute to this shared project with such dedication and vision. I wish you all an inspiring and productive conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ana Cristina Perdigão, for your valuable insights. We now move to the key lecture of the afternoon, kindly asking Professor Diolinda Rasteiro from the Polytechnic University of Coimbra to present our guests and after to moderate an interactive moment within the theme.
Good
afternoon. Welcome to this conference. I have the pleasure to present Professor 𝐁𝐿𝐲𝐻𝐻, who holds a PhD in electrical engineering course, specialization in optimization and systems theory from the Coimbra University. He is a full professor at the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering, also at Coimbra University, and is also a director of the Development and Research Institute INESC in Coimbra. He is also the member of Coordinating Committee of the Energy of Sustainability of Interest of Initiative at Coimbra, and the president of the Operations Research Association, Portuguese Operational Research Association. His areas of interest include multi-objective optimization, meta-heuristics, multi-criteria analysis, B-level optimization, energy systems and policies, with focus on energy efficiency and demand response. He is also a co-author of 2 books, Multi-Objective Linear and Integer Programming, published by Springer, and a co-editor of the book Energy and Behaviors by the Academic Press. He is a senior editor of Energy Policy and editor of Eurojournal journal on decision processes. He's also a very good professor. I had the proud and delight of being at some of his lectures, and he's going to talk to us about some experience that he has on building partnerships between academia, industry, and community for energy transition. After his lecture, we will have opportunity to debate with him, and he will answer you some questions that you may have or would like to pose to him. Thank you, Professor Carlos.
So, good afternoon to you all. Thank you, Professor Cândido Mas and Professor Ana Veloso, for the kind invitation. Also, my thanks extending to the governing bodies of the UNIgreen Association. When I was invited to deliver some experiences on sustainability, I decided to focus in the area in which I've been working for some time now, which is devoted to energy systems, and more specifically to the role of demand side on energy transition in the global framework of the green transition. And so I will go on this issue of how to build these partnerships between academia, industry, and community players that really can foster the energy transition as a prominent piece of the green transition. So I will begin by deriving some thoughts which are built upon my experience of collaboration with industry and other players, not just industry, but also other kind of institutions, including public institutions. And from that, I will move to a brief accounting of 4 projects involving industrial partnerships, some research work that I've been involved recently, which is ongoing research, which I think can be transformed in products or services that really can have an impact on the energy transition, namely by giving a more prominent role to the demand side. And then I will finish with a more, I would say, provocative issue regarding the interplay between education and research. So we are in academia, in higher education institutions, in a very special place and committed to a very important role in this green transition, especially in what are my my specific interests in the energy transition as a fundamental piece of the more encompassing energy transition towards a more climate neutral and resource efficient economy. Because academia has a very unique role, I would say a role to make bridges, which I think only academia can perform. So we are centers of knowledge. We are, let's say, repositories of talent development, and at the same time we promote societal engagement, which can contribute to drive this systemic change. So we perform this role as bridge makers. So we connect science, policy, and industry and community with the bodies, the more formal and the more informal bodies in a democratic community to support this transition to a climate neutral economy. And sometimes, I would say not in general, but sometimes this green transition is too much seen by technological lens. And this narrows a lot the scope of energy transition and in some way impairs the more encompassing, more the larger focus that should be given to the energy transition and the policies and measures that materialize those policies to promote the green transition. So in addition to technological factors, this transition requires behavioral governance and collaborative innovations which go well beyond the new technologies per se. So we are these dynamic actors. We are deeply embedded in this ecosystem, so encompassing the industry and other institutions, government, the civil society. We generate innovative research which can foster this innovation in order to drive the sustainability advancements. But we also, let's say, manufacture, we educate graduates with skills, not just technical and scientific skills, but broader competencies in system thinking, ethical reasoning, and what is really important, to be able to apprehend all the factors that contribute to this transition, which is nowadays the digital literacy that is necessary to make creative and a proactive synthesis all these factors. And last but not least, our institutions collaborate deeply with communities to promote this environmental citizenship, and not just impose or sell our solutions, but to co-create these solutions to address local and the global challenges. And so regarding this research for a sustainable future, all these problems can only be addressed if we adopt an interdisciplinary approach. This does not mean, and I think sometimes there is this dangerous trend, that interdisciplinary means that we are some kind of overlooking about the problems, and we do not go deep into each discipline. On the contrary, I think we can only adopt an interdisciplinary approach if we have people. Of course, no one can dominate all disciplines, but if we have cohesive teams with people that are really leading specialists, leading experts on each discipline. And so our institutions should adopt this interdisciplinary approach, using methods issuing from different disciplines to address complex challenges regarding sustainability, for instance, addressing energy issues, ecological issues, transportation, etc. We at education institutions also have some commitments to society regarding open science and collaboration. In general, we are paid by public money, and so open science is a must-do. So open science practices, data sharing, we generate lots of information, lots of data that can serve not only other researchers, but also society. And so we should promote this open science view, making data and techniques available and actionable regarding our research outputs for a wider community use, not only by other researchers, but also for society. So, and that's combining these features that we can really have an impact on society, on the industry, and society as a whole. So we need to align our research agendas with the societal needs in order to transform the knowledge we generate in our research into tangible benefits that we can transfer to improve products and processes in industry and communities. And so this collaboration between academia and industry is utmost for competitiveness of our societies. So industries face increasing demands to meet these environmental, society, and governance standards, circular economy principles, the decarbonization goals, and so academia has a role to play. Our research has a role to play to provide this support. So by developing new theory, new methodology, new processes, new devices in our labs, by offering to society a skilled graduate workforce that is a central piece for an industry innovation. And so one means to achieve this aim is through technology transfer and the creation of spin-off companies. So we should promote innovation through this technology transfer, in general performed by spin-off companies, which can lead to greener technologies and foster this green transition. What kind of collaboration models should we envisage? Should we try to put in place. According to my experience, there is no one-size-fits-all. So we should, in each circumstance, from the panoply, from the menu of different forms of collaboration models we have that are available, select the ones that best fit the particular circumstances and the particular stakeholders with which we are working in. So one way is, for instance, to develop these co-laboratories for research. So in which higher education institutions and companies share research facilities and the expertise to drive the innovation in these co-laboratories. Another way, which is maybe one of the most used nowadays, is to join funded projects. And there are lots of programs at European Union level and in other type of funding bodies that can finance programs to support joint projects between academia and industry to tackle emerging challenges such as the ones raised by the pervasiveness of artificial intelligence, for instance. I've been involved in some contracts with not just small and medium enterprises, but also already which we can classify, at least at the Portuguese level, as big companies, in which these partnerships, but here I'm most interested in these small and medium enterprises, the activity of which can have a more local or regional impact. And so these type of partnerships to address specific problems that are correctly framed can help these local businesses to adopt green technologies and sustainable practice in a more effective manner. And so all these instruments should contribute to a more holistic sustainability approach. So in which maybe our main product is to extend this collaboration with industry and society as a whole through the training of a skilled workforce, so through this community engagement, which enables to create comprehensive strategies to address these specific problems for which we need to skill people not just in formal education, but also in the framework of the research projects to deal with specific needs of industry. And the migration of this skill force to companies and industries, I think, is one of our most relevant outputs contributing to the green transition. But the challenges ahead in this very turbulent world require from us also a very proactive stance, a very proactive attitude. And so we cannot afford to let our curricula crystallize. We need to be aware that the world is changing at a very fast pace, and so our curricula should also respond to new societal needs, to new scientific discoveries, to new technological developments. And so we should do this by considering that we should embed the sustainability principles in curricula design. So adopting these in all disciplines, adopting this multidisciplinary approach to make our students, which will become our skilled workforce, sustainability literate professionals. Moreover, in addition to embed these sustainability principles in our curricula, we can also develop new green degrees program. So not just formal ones, but micro-credentials is a reality that is nowadays emerging, and we should, in a lifelong learning perspective, which we can focus on specific aspects such as circular economy, renewable energy, smart mobility, in a framework of sustainable engineering to contribute to this final endeavor of the green transition through doing our part, our role, by means of transforming the curricula. And so I think we all realized that the time of attending school, obtaining a degree and going forever for professional life, those times are definitely over. And so the lifelong learning, the upskilling, and not just the upskilling, but how to do reskilling, is something that is very utmost importance. So these processes of lifelong learning through upskilling and reskilling will enable professionals to adapt for new jobs and technologies in this process of green transition. And so we can do this and make this more productive, more effective when this more skilled workforce goes into industry and institutions by integrating in our curricula real-world challenges. There are a lot of real-world problems, emerging problems, the ones put by the, for instance, transforming the electricity generator matrix from very controlled fossil fuel plants to renewables, very dispersed in the territory, with all the problems regarding the intermittency or variability of the primary energy sources. So integrating these real-world problems into the curricula fosters the problem-solving skills and interdisciplinary collaboration in students, because addressing, for instance, electric mobility will pose issues regarding energy issues, regarding optimization of routes, for instance, optimization of shifts of personnel, and so on, that together can bring more effective solutions in practice. And so this green skills framework required the core competencies, which, as I said before, go well beyond the technological ones and should include system thinking, so a way of thinking in which problems should be seen and should be addressed as a whole. So, which require the mastery of different, not just disciplines, but also different ways of thinking and putting the pieces together to reach more, not just efficient, but also more effective systems. So we need, in this setting, we need to understand these complex challenges. So our graduates should learn how to analyze these complex sustainability problems by integrating all these aspects, the technical, the environmental, social, economical, but all these should be rooted, in my opinion, in a very strong theory and methodology fabric. We cannot deliver what the Americans say, the one-trick pony. So the pony that learns very well one trick and no other. So we should all to be adaptable, to be flexible to new needs, to new techniques, to new societal demands. All this should be rooted on a very strong theory and methodology fabric. So that's why we can be prepared for the next big thing in the near future, perhaps that we cannot anticipate now. And so only in this way we can empower these change agents, so which means to prepare students to be leaders of these sustainability efforts towards the green transition in different economic sectors by applying these skills. But we cannot preach these very nice principles without caring about our own house. And so we should lead, we at academia, at higher education institutions, we should lead by example. And so we should strive for achieving carbon neutrality by reducing emissions and using renewable energy sources at our own premises. We should care about our sustainable mobility plans, so we should be able to implement green transportation options like biking, fostering the use of electric vehicles, not just at a personal level, but also fleets of electric vehicles to promote campus mobility. We should abide for green building standards, so we should adopt eco-friendly building designs which can reduce energy consumption and environmental impact, of course without jeopardizing the comfort we offer to the users. Also, we should make our best to put in place circular procurement processes and waste reduction that we can exemplify as things so simple as bottles of water, at other consumables that we use in our premises. So in order to reduce waste, so to strengthen our sustainability practices, and by strengthening our sustainability practices, to strengthen our reputation in the society as actors that preach what they really practice. And so, this is done already, perhaps in your own institutions. Implementing renewable energy systems, for instance, by means of photovoltaic panels, to implement microgrids that can promote clean energy power usage and be less dependent of the upstream grid, to implement zero waste initiatives, so to impose ambitious but of course realistic targets that can help our institutions to minimize waste, to encourage recycling across our campuses. And so in this way, one additional benefit of engaging into these practices is that, making this a virtuous circle, is that our campuses can act in this way as real living labs. So we can offer students hands-on learning opportunities in sustainability practices using our institutions, our campuses as living labs in which we can develop, implement and improve our activity, and even with a positive impact on our curricula and our offering. So, last but not least, we should abide by the social responsibility, which means we should engage with community. So we should translate academic knowledge into societal impact through active community engagement and collaboration, which, as I said before, can be operationalized by diverse means. Sometimes academics are accused, not without some reason, of not communicating well. And so science communication, I think it should be a very important priority, not just to, we are paid in general by public money, not just to justify before society this, but also to profit from these science communication hubs to more general public communication. And one way to do that is through sustainability initiatives in which citizen science and partnerships with schools can empower communities to these sustainability efforts that can begin by activities so simple as bringing the pupils from secondary schools to visit our labs, to explain what we are doing, and what we are doing can have impact on their lives, and moreover can be a way in the future for their lives. And of course this should be made in a framework of trust and collaboration building. So this trust and collaboration between higher education institutions and the public are key for accomplishing our social responsibility efforts. This, in a more, not just local, but also more general spatial framework, can be done through cooperation. Like UNIgreen is a very nice example. So this green transition, there is no borders for these problems. Okay? So the green transition requires this global cooperation to address these sustainability challenges. And so the European University Alliances, and there are several, for which, as I said, UNIgreen is a very interesting and, as I see, productive example, not just by promoting joint degrees to engage into joint research, to lead this transnational academic collaboration with impact on society. And so academia should contribute to this global effort, to networks and partnerships that can have not just a regional but a global impact. And so the vision I think we all share for the future is that we can have a very transformative role. We are very decisive and relevant actors which can drive this systemic change towards a more climate neutral society by means of our activities of science and education. So we should fostering partnerships, not just among ourselves, among our education institutes, but also with industry and the community bodies, which is absolutely essential to pass from the papers and our research in labs into effective action with impact on society. And so the sustainability should be pervasive in the sense that it must become a reality that through innovation, shared responsibility, and practical implementation can transform lives and society. And so if I'm allowed to suggest you some takeaways, this call to action would emphasize the need to strengthen alliances, the need to invest in research and education, so supporting this interdisciplinary research and embed deeply sustainability issues in education, in our curricula, in our research, in order to foster innovation and social awareness, to engage in a more strong way with communities and industry, so which can be materialized, for instance, by having representatives of industry and community in our scientific councils, in our external advisory committees, and so on. So in order to having and offering our students this global awareness of the problems, the science and technology to address them, but also the skills to transform this into action that can drive this meaningful change and be inspiring to the next generations. How in our institute did we accomplish these general issues that I try to synthesize for you now? So I will present you 4 projects we had with companies that we want to believe that could have fostered innovation through these shared partnerships and experience. The first one has been devoted to the PPEC is the Plan for the Promotion of Efficiency in the Consumption of Electrical Energy. Is a program that is run by ERS, which is the entity, the regulator entity for the energy services, electricity and gas. And we have been hired, so we established a partnership with the main player in the energy sector in Portugal, EDP, to prepare the proposals they presented to this program to be funded by the regulator, of course, with tariff money, so with money that comes from our pockets as electricity consumers. And so what we did was to, in this specialized consulting work, was to ensure all the regulatory and legal requirements regarding the proposals, to develop benefit-cost methodologies in a societal perspective that could be used to appraise the merits of each measure. What are these measures, energy efficiency measures I'm talking about? and these measures were classified in two big groups, tangible and intangible measures. Tangible were devoted to implement, so to install some kind of equipment. Intangible, for instance, awareness campaigns, education campaigns in schools or for the general public. But this involving lighting, for instance, replacing of lamps by LEDs, by LED, so more efficient lamps, installing HVAC systems, installing more efficient compressed air devices in industry, performing audits to be aware of the energy use and therefore of the energy wastes, or where we can be more efficient in the use, so having more output with less input for different segments, for different economic segments: industry, services, agriculture, residential, public administration, social security institutions, etc. Another project we developed, also with an impact, was to develop the strategic regional energy planning for the government of the archipelago of the Azores. As you see, this is quite challenging because there is no electric connections between the islands, and so each one should be should provide their own sources and be responsible for their own energy use, including their efficiency. And so we have done a very comprehensive energy analysis of the archipelago, of the islands of Azores. Then, according to the characteristics of the regional economy, we developed energy efficiency interventions, for instance, devoted to mobility electrification, to HVAC optimization, the introduction of heat pumps, this deployment of solar thermal, biomass systems for energy savings, etc. And we target figures like 15% of primary energy consumption by 2030, a reduction of 14% in final energy consumption, and 12% reduction in greenhouse gas emission, so to support a long-term and region-wide decarbonization strategy, also accounting for social concerns there. Another project dealing with impact on sustainability matters was a study. The Portuguese government decided to make the phase-out of coal-fired power plants by 2021, and Pego was the last one to be shut down. And so we have been asked to study the possibility of continuing the operation, not shutting down so the coal units should be shut down, of course, but continuing to use the turbines, not burning coal, but burning biomass, of course, in a different operation regime because of the primary fuel, of course, but our intervention was an assessment of how this could contribute to the security of supply of the national grid. If working in this regime, the power plant could provide flexibility and dispatchability services, how it could contribute to the reserve requirements and contribution to grid inertia, and making a comparative performance versus the use of natural gas and other non-dispatchable biomass plants. Just a last example that a project we have been involved with the industry was for a company in Coimbra, 𝐁𝐻𝐬, that runs a lot of telemetry services. So they work for, they receive every minute automatic meter readings for oil and gas reservoirs all over the world, for instance, in the United States and Australia and so on. And sometimes these data were missing or clearly wrong. And what we did was a rule-based system in order to detect anomalies, and in this way, in oil and gas reservoirs, and in this way try to minimize the number of interventions needed by technicians on place. So we could develop a system with high accuracy and reliability in anomaly detection and missing data management. For instance, due to communications problems, sometimes that spared a lot of manual interventions of the technicians on place. A project that we are now working at this stage on more just academic side, but which we think can make its way to practical implementation, is to develop demand-side resource aggregation. So how to manage the consumption in our homes, of course without jeopardizing our peak, in response to a grid or market operator request, because at that time there is a forecast that wind is not blowing, so we will have a decrease of wind generation electricity, so we can sell this flexibility to an aggregator that can then trade this aggregated flexibility of a multitude of consumers, for instance a neighborhood, in organized markets, and we can be paid for that. And so flexibility is now a keyword, a keystone of the modern power systems, and this type of systems can play a role by making the demand-side resources to be valued in equal foot as the more traditional supply-side resources. So we need this applied research collaboration. We need to engage in this collaboration to translate the academic research into operational solutions which can be beneficial for society and the economic and social fabric. And so these projects I presented, I trust, I'm confident, they had an impact, and they could be made only through these partnerships, because we didn't know much about the business. For instance, the case of oil and gas, electricity, we are more aware. But this can only have an impact if we engage with the owners of the problems. Just we have had recently, last week, the winter meeting of the 𝐁𝐻𝐬𝐧𝐠, the Research Institute System, the 𝐁𝐻𝐬𝐧𝐠 Brussels Hub, so office we have in Brussels, in some way to have a say in the European policies towards science and technology. And one of the issues that was brought to the table, and to which I'm very sensitive, is the public procurement. I think if our regional and central state would be more proactive in requiring dedicated research and innovation from the national scientific and technological system, that would be a win-win situation. And so the public procurement could represent a very large unified demand signal in the economy. And I'm sorry to say that at least in Portugal this has not been used as fully as it could. And in my opinion, this is what we could call a low-hanging fruit. So all players in the sector, including regional and municipal, regional and national government, could profit from using the national scientific and technological system to address specific needs in society. And so this would create this academia, industry, community partnership could create a more shared mission around sustainability challenges, should encourage more joint research and development projects, pilot projects and demonstration projects with the potential to be replicable and to deliver fruits in a short term. And so instead of isolated innovation, by increasing this public procurement for research services, this could foster more collaborative solutions and so to amplify the impact. And so this could also be a driver of co-creation, and this could, moreover, be distributed on the territory. And this public procurement for research and innovation services that academia could provide could be a very important tool to promote territorial cohesion and social cohesion. So this could accelerate the deployment of sustainable technologies. This could be the anchor for innovation projects to innovation through municipal and regional projects, and this could contribute to build this capacity and green skills across not just society, but all its actors individually, public bodies, companies, and citizens. So a final word to what I think is a false dilemma between education and research. So these should go together in order to maximize the impact. So this has an impact on the economic fabric, this has an impact on the social fabric. Some studies indicate that the spillovers from human capital are stronger and more permanent, more pervasive than the spillovers from research. It depends on the size, on the dimension, on the scope of activity of the companies that embrace them. So it's said in some studies that these spillovers reach firms more intensely and more effectively when the knowledge generated by research is embodied in students and graduates. That's why I insisted throughout this talk, this share of opinions and experiences, that a skilled workforce is perhaps our most valuable and should be valued output. And so I think research is very interesting, very important issue, but the results of research and the true impact of research is really conditional on the production of skilled workforce, skilled human capital. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. I invite you to join me here. I don't know if there is already a question from the audience or not. If not, I will provoke. I will provoke one. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you. Please.
No, Sinken. Hello. Like Professor Rasteiro, I also had the opportunity of having Professor Englers not only as my teacher, but also as my supervisor. So he shaped my research all throughout the years.
And you are still alive.
Yeah. And I've had the opportunity of following Professor Englers' work throughout the years. And I would like to ask him where, from his own experience, where do you see the biggest misalignment of the incentives between universities, industry, and communities in energy transition projects? And in your own opinion, how can these misalignments be dealt with? This is one of the questions, and if I may, if there is nobody else here to ask any other question, I would also ask another one. And this is a little bit provocative, if I might say, because some of the projects that are being funded sometimes foster partnerships between academia and the community that are extractive in the sense that the communities are asked to provide data and to legitimate in a way the funding, but in the end they end up not receiving lasting benefits. In your opinion, how can this be overcome? Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. That would be the topic of another long talk. But I think you are right in noticing those, let's say, misalignments between research stimuli and sometimes social needs and the needs from companies. That's why I selected to present here those 4 examples in which I think we had really an impact, because those output and to be true, I would say that if I can be proud of something during my research career, these outputs regarding these projects were not from a theoretical or methodological point of view, were not the best, okay? But I felt they really had an impact, and in some way I felt these projects as a way to give back something, okay? And in this case, when you make a contract with a company, in general, you have a specific topic, which, to be true, is not always very clear. Sometimes the first phase of the project is to convince them that your problem is this, what you need is this, because sometimes the aims and scope of the project is somewhat fuzzy at the outset. But regarding the misalignments, and I will now reply as an academic that applies for funding from different institutions, European, national. So maybe the first issue is there is a very fragmented funding. Okay, so you run for FCT funding during this month until the next call, trying to get a project. Next, if the failure rate is, as you know, quite high, and you run to the next. So the instability, so that would be easier and more productive for all if we could sign some type of contract program that gives you some kind of stability, which enables you to improve that alignment, okay, which really exists. So then there is some. So this is the fragmentation of the funding schemes. Other type of the misalignment that I experienced is what we are academics, we are evaluated as such, and sometimes there is this misalignment between research assessment and incentives with this type of partnership works. Because this is tough from the point of view of interaction with the players, and it's much easier to sit down at your desk and your computer, performing some experiments, designing some algorithm, and writing a paper on that. Okay, it's challenging, I don't doubt, but it's much more quiet life than engaging into this type of partnerships, for which then the research output, as it is seen by research assessment mechanisms, is not valued as it should. Another misalignment that we have noticed is deals with regional asymmetries. Okay, it's much easier without placing a shadow of doubt on their capacities and talent, but it's much easier to do that if you are in the Faculty of Engineering of Porto University than if you are here. Okay? And so these type of regional asymmetries in capacity and having, namely regarding green tech clusters, some kind of over concentration in the territory also can have an impact for us that are not located in such higher concentration. So it is sometimes, and I'm saying this here because I said that also to other, in other fora, with including with the minister, like last week, sometimes you feel that you are, a football image is always welcome in every setting. Here is not the exception, I believe. Like you are playing in the field of your opponent, the field is not really levelized, so it's the referee also belongs to the other team, and all the audience is cheering up by the other team also, and so it's a bit more difficult for you to compete. It's not to play the Calimero, but it's really, this is really an issue. And so this not to extend too much, this fragmented funding, the research, thank you, research assessment and incentives misaligned with this type of partnership work, and this regional asymmetry in the capacity of firms to contract for research are, I would say, the three main ones I see that I've been experiencing these years. Thank you.
Thank you. If I may, I would like also to hear you about something. You showed us the importance of bringing or doing open science, bringing real problems inside the academia, and sometimes I get the impression that we are always waiting for projects and for project funding to do that. And I think we could at least provoke our teachers to do to implement this inside their classes without having projects to fund. And one of the opportunities that may be offered to our students, and I would like also to hear their opinion about it, so students be prepared to answer. It's to, as a pedagogical methodology, to bring service learning inside classes. Because in that way, students could go into society, see their needs, cross the needs of the society with the contents they are learning inside the curricular units, bring sustainability to the curricular units that have sustainability to deal with. And in that way, I think the knowledge that they are gaining and the needs of the society could merge in a more perfect way, and also could improve students' desire to research more about it. Because sometimes the research that we see is something that is needed to accomplish a degree and to go to the market. And not really because there is a need and there is a curiosity inside of the student. Do you think we could go that way?
Yeah, thank you. In the session last week with the presence of the Minister of Education and Science and Innovation, in which these new European policies for science and technology funding were discussed. For instance, the president of the Joint Research Center of the European Commission was there. Something that I raised is where among all these instruments is the place for curiosity-driven research? Yeah? Are we all running to solve a pressing problem? And sometimes maybe this is being recorded and I will be in trouble, but okay. Sometimes there's a lot of disguises the innovation, I believe. Okay, and something that concerns me a lot, and that's why in one of the slides I insisted that the applied research work, so devoted to solve some kind of problem, not just a consulting work, okay, should be rooted on a very sound theory and methodology fabric. Okay, so because the economic reality, the technology changes so fast that if you don't know the foundational knowledge about things, I was thinking of electronics, but it can be many other examples. I think that's the theory and methodology that enables you to keep in pace with the technological advancements. And so regarding the first part of your question, of the integration of the students in research and research projects, as I understood. I confess I'm a bit skeptical of that, namely in the first years, in which I think students should acquire a strong background on the very foundational topics. For instance, in my area of mathematics or physics, or also not disregarding the importance of social sciences. But as you progress your studies and the identification of needs of companies and society can be framed on this background, I think there it's the time and place to engage students in research activities. And the best way, and the one that I try to put in practice, is the integration in projects, in research projects, not just in research projects funded by funding agencies like FCT or similar, but also in this type of consulting projects with companies. To give you an example, now in the framework of this PRR, this Plan for Recovery and Resilience, we have a project with the Smart Energy Lab, one of these collaborative labs. This is the collaborative lab for energy, in which the main industrial partners are EDP Commercial and Accenture, the consulting company, in which in a part of the project we have lots of data from meters that are at people's homes. And we involved students, namely at the level of master thesis. So what can we do with this huge amount of data? What kind of services we can provide to the company? This is EDP Commercial, so that they can propose more tailored commercial offers to the clients, for instance, regarding a product that has been developed by the Smart Energy Labs. It's called 𝐏𝐻, which is a device, so hardware and software, to make the management of electric vehicle charging in condominium. Okay? So based on this data, let's profile different types of users. Let's use that for forecasting, for instance, and from that to know that this archetype, this profile of users would be more responsible than others to this kind of, for instance, of time differentiated tariff, for instance. But I think I totally agree with you that when the students are mature enough, because it's necessary, I think a certain degree of maturity is very nice to it's not very nice to be true, to fill these forms of 𝐏𝐻, engagement of students with, and we ask ChatGPT or invent something at the time, okay? But I think this is productive, this can be done, but once you have a certain maturity in which the requests from a certain industrial economic problem make sense according to what they know at the time. But I think it's quite valuable. I think it's a path we should proceed, but we should be careful on that, because otherwise people could feel even lost if they are presented with problems for which they do not have yet the necessary background to, I don't say to address the problem, but at least to frame the problem in their heads in a meaningful way.
Yeah, and it's of course more teaching demanding, because as a teacher you have to prepare your course in a different way. and to give students all tools that they might need to solve some problem that they identify. Yeah, of course. But as a student, would you like to do that kind of learning? Or do you prefer to be presented with all the possible methods that you may encounter when you go out to university, and then you forget them all, and you go, when you go inside an enterprise and you see the problem and you, I'm going to solve this, I don't remember what have I learned. And maybe you could do that search I don't say on the first year, but on the second half of the second year or the third year, you go inside your community and look for the problem and come back and see, well, I have this problem, how can I solve it? What do I need to learn to solve the problem? Would it be more interesting? Yeah, please.
Yes, I think that this is something that's very important to put in place in institutions where we learn about these things, and it's something that in the polytechnics we are starting to doing better. We have to put in place this search, not in base of the science, of the theory science, but of a form of application search. So we have to be involved in our community, as the teacher is saying. We have to search for the problem, and then this is the base for our research. I think that this is the very important way for do the research. But I have a question as well that I wanted to do. So I will speak about a very particular problem nowadays. Given the geopolitical tensions that we have in Europe, that I think this is a very important subject that we have to put on the table as well. How can we measure the impact of these geopolitical tensions in these partnerships between industry, academia, and community, and how these initiatives like UNIgreen can prevent, and how can we mitigate these impacts in our community? Because I think this is a very important subject, and maybe the principal problem that we have when we are talking about these initiatives of the green transition and everything, these geopolitical tensions.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Let me focus on the energy field. So you see that nowadays there is one of the reasons of this turbulence is it's a contradictory movement of, in some way, isolation, and in other way, very disturbing intervention in some parts of the world. Curiously, the ones that have big oil reservoirs, big oil resources. But all threats are always opportunities, and I think we need to see this as an opportunity to make our energy systems more resilient and more independent from these geopolitical shocks. In Portugal, a path has been followed for the last, let's say, 2 decades of increasing the renewable generation. And by the way, it's not the renewable generation that was the responsible for the blackout in last April. Okay, the issues are more complex. But this is a way in which this, as you well said, this tensions, this turbulence, can have an impact on research. So, for instance, in order to make our grid more resilient, since the sun is not always shining, the wind is not always blowing, but we need urgently to decarbonize because it has an impact on the environment, because it creates economic dependence. Maybe one of these projects I mentioned of integrating the demand-side resources to help the stabilization and the global balance of the system is one way. And you see, this calls for a very different types of research that should be brought together in order to be effective, which is, for instance, to design devices that can control at your home the operation of some loads, but can also, but maybe I would not be keen that someone interrupt me when I'm watching a football game. So there are some appliances more devoted to control, other less devoted to control. If some people would be more keen on letting automatic device to control the charging and discharging of the battery of the electric vehicle, because someone could be more prone to comfort, in this case, to have your battery charged by at least 80% at 7 o'clock in the morning we want to leave, or there are more flexible than that. And all these, considering all these contributions to the same endeavor, which is making the energy system more resilient by integrating a multitude of very small consumers that each one per se, they don't have capability of influencing the demand patterns of generation and use, but maybe when aggregated by these new middleware entities, which, by the way, should also to be economically feasible. And so people working on business models should have a say on that. People working on the regulatory framework should have a say on that. What is the minimum amount of power to participate in those type of markets, for instance? What are the requirements? What is the promptitude that is necessary? If warned with an hour in advance, do you respond to lower or increase your, you see, the multitude of interrelated problems that can be addressed to make our energy system more resilient and efficient in response, and let's close the circle to the beginning of your question, to the geopolitical tensions that can, in fact, disrupt all the traditional supply chains of primary energy, namely oil. Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for your presence. Thank you very much, Professor.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
It was a pleasure to have you here.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Professor Dilinda Rasteiro and Professor Carlos Engler Antunes. We now move to the roundtable discussion dedicated to green transition within academia, industry, community partnerships, a central moment of today's conference where diverse perspectives will come together to discuss challenges, opportunities, and best practices in advancing the green transition through partnerships. The session will be moderated by Joana Gouveia Loureiro from the Coimbra City Council, whom we thank for accepting this role. Allow me to briefly introduce our distinguished panelists. José Gaspar, Chief Technology Officer at Collab Forestwise, representing applied research and innovation in the forestry and bioeconomy sectors. Sónia 𝐁𝐮𝐢𝐥𝐝𝐢𝐳, Principal Investigator of the aqui project with a focus on collaborative and interdisciplinary approaches to sustainability. Ângela Fernandes, Project Manager at Shift Coimbra, bringing a local innovation and urban transformation perspective. Daniel Aragão, Chairman of the Executive Committee of FAIR Portugal, representing the European Students' Union and the student voice in the green transition. I now hand over the floor to our moderator, Joana Gouveia Loureiro. And all the panelists can come to the floor too, please.
We can start, right? So, Professor 𝐏𝐚𝐫𝐿𝐧𝐠, President of the Polytechnic University of Coimbra, dear Professor Ana Veloso, Vice President of the Polytechnic University of Coimbra, distinguished guests and representatives of the UNIgreen partner universities, dear speakers of this round table, dear students, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure for me to welcome you to this roundtable entitled Green Transition within Academia, Industry, Community Partnerships, held within the framework of the UNIgreen International Conference. This conference brings together not only the academic community, but also industry representatives, public authorities, and civil society actors, alongside the formal meetings of UNIgreen's governance bodies. This setting perfectly reflects the spirit of what UNIgreen stands for: collaboration, shared responsibility, and collective action towards a more sustainable future. Before introducing our speakers, I would like to briefly frame our discussion within the broader context of the European Universities Initiative, launched by the European Commission. The European Universities Alliances are part of a flagship initiative of the European Strategy for Universities. They encompass 73 European universities alliances with almost 650 higher education institutions of all types from all across Europe. The European University Alliances aim to foster long-term, structural, strategic and sustainable cooperation among higher education institutions across Europe. By doing so, they strengthen not only the international dimension of universities, but also the competitiveness and resilience of the members and of the territories they serve. In my view, this initiative is one of the most impactful mechanisms available to enhance European competitiveness. It recognizes a fundamental reality: the complex challenges faced by our societies cannot be addressed in isolation. They require cooperation, interdisciplinarity, and collective intelligence. Collective intelligence thrives on collaboration. It depends on openness to new perspectives, to innovative approaches, and to the free exchange of ideas. European University Alliances speak directly to this need. As highlighted in the European Strategy for Universities, our society needs the contribution of the universities more than ever. Challenges such as climate change, digital transformation, democratic resilience, and migration demand higher education institutions that are deeply connected to their local and regional ecosystems while remaining strongly anchored in Europe and openness to the world. From the very beginning, the European Universities Initiative embedded this connection to society at its core. The challenge-based approach adopted by the alliances, the active role of external associated partners as the municipalities, and the bottom-up nature of the networks involved have enabled universities to work hand in hand with industry and communities to co-create solutions with real social impact. UNIgreen, with its applied and practice-oriented nature, is a clear example of this vision in action. By focusing on green biotechnology and life sciences, UNIgreen fosters innovation, attracts international talent, and creates spaces where ideas can be tested and transformed into concrete solutions for local and regional challenges. Here in Coimbra, cooperative partnerships are highly valued as a foundation for a knowledge-based society, one that supports the smooth transition of students into a competitive labor market and contributes to sustainable regional development. This brings us naturally to today's roundtable. Our objective is to showcase concrete projects and partnerships developed within UNIgreen, involving academy, industry, and the wider community, and to reflect on how such collaborations can accelerate the green transition. Each of our invited speakers will share their experience and perspective, after which we will open the floor for discussion, encouraging, of course, your dialogue and interaction with all the speakers. I am delighted to introduce our first speaker, Professor José Gaspar. José Gaspar is professor at the School of Agriculture of the Polytechnic University of Coimbra. He has a PhD in Applied Environmental Sciences from the University of Aveiro. He teaches and conducts research in the areas of forestry sciences and earth and environmental sciences. He was president of the School of Agriculture of the Polytechnic University of Coimbra, vice president of the Polytechnic University of Coimbra between 2017 and 2023, and chairman of the board of directors of Florestal. He is now Chief Technology Officer of ForestWise. ForestWise is a nationally recognized collaborative laboratory bringing together academia, industry, and the public sector to promote sustainable forest management, innovation, technology transfer, and resilience against rural fires. Through flagship projects like ForestWise, ForestWise exemplifies how applied research and strong partnerships can generate impact on the ground. So Professor Gaspar will share with us today and now how these collaborative models contribute to sustainability, competitiveness, and regional development. The floor is yours, Professor.
So, good afternoon, and thanks for the invitation to Professor Cândida Maussa and to Ana Veloso, and also in the name of Tomás Lorenzana, representing UNIgreen Alliance. I will do a presentation of the ForestWise on the first bit, and also tackling 4 projects that we developed together with the Polytechnic University of Coimbra. So, ForestWise is a collaborative laboratory that was created in 2018, and also it has working now 46 researchers. 2 of them are here with us and were participating in this morning event. And we are at the national level 41 collabs. From these 41, only 35 are funded. The last 6 ones are not funded. And we are in the between of the research and the industry. So we want to transfer, we are not doing exactly research, but we are transferring knowledge between these sectors. So our positioning is clearly on this side. So we are not applying for some of research projects. We are involved in some, but that is not our main scope, is not that one. So we are a private non-profit association. We have 16 associates. The main of them are from the industry. Also we have associates from the academia and also from the public and private sector as well. From our regulations, the president of the board of the collab is always from an enterprise. So we have an enterprise focus of way that is managed and the way that the collab is running. So what we address is we want to deliver solutions and processes and also products to the private and public sector. And we want also to create value from initiatives that we can deliver in a differentiating way from the other enterprises that are doing business in our sector. So we now have a new research agenda that was approved this year, that is in the second evolution of the first one that was in the beginning of the collab, that have 4 main themes related with management and sustainability, risk, circular bioeconomy, and people and territory. And also we have 3 different themes that are more related with other ones and are the main issues that can address also the problems and the solutions that we want to deliver. So we have quite diverse areas of work, and we are organized in 4 different lines of working, and we join together these lines and also other partners in the projects that we are involved and in the services that we are delivering for the market. So what we got in this time, we are now leading 3 big consortiums that we are running, and that most of them will finish this year. We have 4 international projects going on, 7 national projects, and we were able to establish 3 international networks and several agreements that we did at national and international level. We were able to get for the collab around 14.5 million euros in 5 years' time, and we were able to manage and to coordinate projects that were able to got to the forest sector around 423 million euros in 5 years' time. So, which are these projects that we were able to put running on this time? The first one is the Transform, that is a consortium of 56 different partners with a total investment of 129 million euros. This consortium is co-led with CoLab and One Enterprise, all three, and has three main teams that are related with circularity and resilient practices. Also, digital transformations that we are able to include in the forest sector, and also to reinforce the role of forests for carbon neutrality, not only in terms of stock of carbon, but also in terms of the change that we are able to do in the industry and in the machines and practices that can increase that. So this is the consortium of the enterprises and universities, polytechnical institutes, and all of that, research centers that we were able to put together on this project. But what we are doing, these projects and many of our projects are related with that we are able to do new products, new processes, or to produce new services. That is our main focus in the projects that we are running on. So this project of Transform has 11 PPS that we are able to establish. Some of them related with biomaterials and bioproducts, and other ones with specialized services, and also in terms of eco-efficiency processes. For example, related in getting these related with the conversation from our speaker, we are developing a process of getting energy from high voltage power lines directly to the machines in the forestry. The technology exists, it's quite expensive. We are able to, and we have now a prototype that we are able to deliver that and to solve a problem of having forestry machines with batteries inside of the mountain that we are able to charge them over there. So, but this is one example of things that we are doing this. Another one more related with the team that we are talking today is the innovation in the natural resin sector to strengthen the national bioeconomy. This sector was quite important in the past. Now, after that, we lose our position in terms of the market from to China in certain period. After that, we were able to improve our industry sector, but we are not able to produce enough resin to have the industry going on. So our industry uses resin that's coming from other parts of the world, and that is not only that, but also to develop this sector in terms of using resin for products that most of the people probably doesn't imagine that using resin to do that. So in this consortium we have 37 enterprises and other companies. The main issues are related with revitalizing the natural resin sector, but also to modernize the companies, to put it more sustainable, and also to improve the scientific and technical knowledge that they have, and also to improve the carbon neutrality of their work, and trying to put it more resilient and productive. And also to develop methods that are more productive and more environmental friendly to extract resin from the trees, and to change because resin extraction is a regulated sector, and we want to change the rules of this sector in order to make it more productive. This is the consortium. Is not such big enterprises that transform, but has a lot of small and medium companies, which is very important. This sector was really affected last week for the storm. Otherwise, some of the people from these companies would participate on the workshop this morning, but they were not able to. And what we are doing on this, we have some research lines, we have also publications, also products that we are developing on this agenda, industrial pilots, industrial symbiosis between companies, training programs and databases for using for them. These are the position that we had in May of last year. So we still have work to go on in order to finish this project by August this year. And also more related, because we are in an education institution, the programs that we are doing related with this. We have also a consortium with most of the higher education institutions that teach forestry in Portugal or related teams, and we are involved in coordinating a national training program for on integrated management of forest fires. This will finish in June. We have a budget smaller than the other ones that we have seen on the two other projects. It's 882,000 euros, is not so big, but this is a new way of teaching these subjects in a way that would be certificated and you could learn during your lifetime. So these are the institutions involved in this program. That we have 8 institutions in the program and 35 experts and specialized people that are teaching on their subject on this course. These are we had 216 registered participants, more or less now 150 active. We have a second edition of the course in order to fulfill the requirements of the contract. Most of them are coming from the center region and north region, but they are coming from all over the country. What we do, we have a program of 684 hours in B-learning terms with 13 micro-credentials that are mandatory and 9 that are optional. And we have involved all this group on this. They have also most of the time they will have formation online and in different periods of the day because they are working, and they have also practical sessions in the field and in the labs and the research institutions. So we have on this around 90,000 hours of training for all of these students, and we would have at the end 180 technicians that would be enrolled by the program. This was really from the evaluations that they tell us was really nice, because it was possible for most of the technicians that were working in associations, in other enterprises, to have a formation in not having to leave their job, and also to increase their formation according with the things that they will be interested in. And also we have another program that is different. We are building a knowledge base for the integrated rural fire management system that would finish effectively in December, that we are building a knowledge base accessible to all the institutions about a program that can be used for any teacher, for any researcher in Portugal. That is manuals, videos, experiences, a lot of different things that would be available in a knowledge-based program that we are doing. This is related with the National Qualification Plan for the Rural Integrated Fire Management System, and we involved a lot of researchers and technicians for all over the world, Portugal, and some of them are from other countries as well. So what we did was we established a referential that was used, and they followed that referential to produce their contents that we put available to everyone that who could use it. The one what we have to use it, if this, and we think would be a success, is that we can update these programs and these materials in order that will be all the time available to use in any information that any teacher or any researcher could use everywhere. Okay, let me see if this works. Only small video. Sorry, this is in Portuguese, but thank you.
Thank you, Professor. We have some questions, but we will save them for after the intervention of all the speakers. Our second speaker is Dra. Célia 𝐁𝐮𝐢𝐥𝐝. Sonia 𝐁𝐮𝐢𝐥𝐝 is a member of the IPC Community Interface Office. She holds a PhD in biology from the University at Coimbra and has participated in several research projects and organized technical, scientific and scientific dissemination events. Dra. 𝐁𝐮𝐢𝐥𝐝 is the coordinator of the EPC team for the Eclectic project. Eclectic adopts a quintuple helix approach, bringing together higher education institutions, public authorities, businesses and civil society through living laboratories in several European regions. The Polytechnic University of Coimbra plays a central role in activating these living labs and fostering participatory, evidence-based policy design. Dra. 𝐁𝐮𝐢𝐥𝐝 will share how this collaborative and inclusive approach strengthens the connection between universities and the communities they serve. Dra. 𝐁𝐿.
which presentation is? Oh, the following. Okay, sorry. No, that's not this one. No, it's okay. It's this one. Sorry. Good afternoon to you all. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you also for being here. I will show you briefly the Eclectic project, and I will focus on the work developed by the PUC team, which has to do basically with the co-creating circular and sustainable cities. As we all know, cities face several problems, namely high density of socioeconomic activities, resource use, waste generation, and anthropogenic greenhouse emissions. However, these problems can also be seen as opportunities, as cities offer unique opportunities to reduce human environmental impacts through circular economy models. So the Eclectic project turns to be collaborative transnational work with R&D, urban regional entities from small and medium city regions. So the main goal of this project is to enable strategic action plans for circular economy that can effectively contribute to climate neutral, sustainable and just development of small and medium-sized EU cities. More specifically, we want to strengthen connections among local community and their stakeholders, to encourage behavioral change for reuse, repair, repurpose, and recycle, to promote just and inclusive circular economy strategies, to create evidence for circular urban transitions, to foster innovative impact assessment on circular economy, to raise awareness on circular economy, and to capitalize the knowledge on this area. So our starting point was to create 4 city region living labs, which we called briefly SIR labs. We want basically to get inputs from a real life context. So the consortia is constituted of entities from 4 countries, and we had to this task of creating these 4 city region living labs in Gothenburg in Sweden, and 𝐁𝐼𝐴, Lithuania, Coimbra region, Portugal, and also Bolzano in Italy. So basically these 4 city regions have unique features, of course, and also they have probably similar challenges, because the expectations and needs of both citizens and entities are obviously different. Also, the circular economy ecosystems in terms of practices, strategies, and stage of implementation are also quite distinct. Also, the target stakeholders and the level of their engagement is also different among the 4 regions. And finally, the access to statistical data to feed modeling and LCA procedures to characterize the urban metabolism of each of these regions or cities is also very different. So I show you the starting point. The destination point is to have 4 active and engaged SIR labs, and also to have co-designed action plans for circular economy for small and medium-sized EU cities that can be should be context-specific, evidence-based, and also be flexible, scalable, and replicable enough that could be in terms of solutions and approaches. So these action plans could be transferred to other similar regions in the European Union. So the challenges for the Polytechnic University of Coimbra team were basically 2. We were responsible for defining the governance model for the SIR labs, and also to define the stakeholder engagement strategy. In terms of SIR lab governance model, all the SIR labs have a SIR lab representative and a general assembly that is constituted by representatives of 4 different groups of stakeholders that are coming from government, education, community, and companies. All of these
we have in all of this, in each one of this group of stakeholders, we have a list of entities that integrate the SIRLab. If necessary, we will create extra groups of stakeholders, which was the case for today, for example, because the work of our colleagues from the project, from the University of Coimbra, show us that in terms of the characterization of urban metabolism of Coimbra, there were important sectors that should be, which the stakeholders should be called to participate and to give their inputs. So this morning we had a workshop with entities from the forestry and the agro-industrial sector from Coimbra. Some of them are here, so thank you also for being here. And we have a very nice discussion this morning, and we will take these, their inputs into considerations for the action plan. About the stakeholder engagement strategy, as I told you, it should be flexible and adaptable enough, because we have 4 different SIRLabs with different specificities. We have a common structure with optional and mandatory meetings based on participatory methodologies, and we provide to our partners from other countries a toolkit with participatory methods and tools that could be used in the workshops. The rationale behind this analysis of circular economy in the different SIRLabs would start from a diagnosis of needs of each SIRLabs, to know the city profiles in terms of circular economy patterns, in terms of urban metabolism, to inform the stakeholders about the best practices abroad, and also to together co-create solutions and actions that could be implemented and delivered to the decisory authorities in each SIRLab. So now I have a small video that can show you, where you can see the dynamics of each one of these workshops. Let's see if YouTube works. Yeah.
A grande missão do projeto Luta Eclético, eu diria que passa por trazer a economia circular da teoria à prática. No fundo, vamos trabalhar em equipa, com uma equipa multidisciplinar, com vários atores, quer da região de Coimbra, quer à escala nacional, para dimensionar, desenvolver soluções de economia circular que, no fundo, possam ser introduzidas nos setores mais relevantes da nossa região. No final, quando estiverem definidas as medidas de economia circular, o plano de ação de economia circular, consigamos ir além e garantir a sua implementação prática para fechar o ciclo deste projeto.
Nós seguimos uma abordagem de metabolismo urbano que, no fundo, visa pensar as cidades e as áreas urbanas como se fossem organismos vivos, como se fossem ecossistemas que trocam recursos, que produzem desperdícios, que produzem produtos, que consomem recursos. À medida que tivermos esta imagem, esta fotografia daquilo que é a região e o seu consumo de materiais e os impactos associados, vamos modelar estratégias de economia circular que vão alterar então esses fluxos e depois os impactos ambientais.
O que é que esperamos do projeto? Que o projeto traga à região novas práticas de economia circular, que possa fomentar esses canais de economia circular na região, podendo assim que nós possamos chegar mais longe, tanto a nível empresarial como a nível de região, não é? Mesmo a nível pessoal. Esperamos então que o projeto permita dar à região as ferramentas necessárias para conseguirmos então cumprir este objetivo de fomentar a economia circular e sermos um destaque na região.
A equipa do Gabinete de Interface com a Comunidade do Politécnico de Coimbra foi responsável por 3 tarefas principais. A primeira foi a elaboração da estratégia de governança dos 4 CIRLabs. Também foi responsável pelo plano de envolvimento dos diferentes stakeholders e, por fim, pela dinamização dos diferentes workshops dos CIRLabs, onde foram implementadas metodologias participativas.
So, just to finish the presentation, oh, not this one. I will skip these 2 slides. Oh. I had some insights in terms of results of the workshops, but as we're running out of time, I will skip these ones. Just to finish, I want to share with you basically what we have learned with this project and about working with stakeholders, which are the main challenges that we faced. Basically, it's challenging to keep stakeholders motivated and engaged between the different meetings that we have along this project. We need to find a way to ensure stakeholder commitment to implement circular economy actions and find the resources to do it, as well, this is very important, the political and institutional commitment with this, as we want to transform the Eclectic project into a long-term program capable of moving from experimental design to the practical implementation of circular solutions. So, and one of the main thing that we learned here for the Coimbra region that was transmitted by the different stakeholders along the workshops is that we need to promote circular economy education and awareness in the region to allow and snowball its development, and that this particular need should be included in the action plan that will be further developed and delivered to the local authorities of Coimbra. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. 𝐁𝐮𝐢𝐥𝐝𝐢𝐳. Our third speaker, as we are running out of time, we will keep the questions to the final part of our session. Our third speaker is Ângela Fernandes. Ângela, in fact, is a colleague of mine because she works also in the municipality of Coimbra. She is the project manager of the Shift Coimbra project and a senior consultant of 𝐸𝐺𝐻. She holds a master's degree in innovation and development policies from the University of Aveiro and a degree in regional and urban planning. Shift Coimbra is an initiative dedicated to promoting the sustainable, smart and inclusive transformation of tourism in the Coimbra region, integrating digital innovation, capacity building, improved visitor experiences and environmental, social and economic sustainability. It is funded by the European Urban Initiative. I work specifically in 2 work packages with Ângela, regarding the transfer partners. We have chosen 3 transfer partners for this project: Iași in Romania, Salamanca in Spain and Padova in Italy. And also in another work package related to training in tourism to Portuguese-speaking countries. This is my contribution, but of course Ângela has a wider perspective of the project. The project clearly demonstrates how knowledge transfer, innovation and community engagement can be mobilized to support regional development and the greener economy. Ângela will share insights on how collaboration between academia and local actors can shape more resilient and sustainable tourism ecosystems. Just to add, of course, that the Polytechnic University of Coimbra is also, of course, one of the partners of Shift. Ângela, please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to try to figure out where's my presentation. So when I try to do that, I will start to thank you all for your presence. I think it's a very big afternoon, so thank you for being here. Thank you so much for the invitation of the Polytechnical School of the University of Coimbra. It's been a pleasure working with you on the last year. So, so I'll try to be brief and take only the 10 minutes that I have. For me, it's a personal pleasure to be here also because I've worked on academia as a researcher and as a teacher. I worked in public institutions, governmental public institutions, and nowadays I work in a company. So I've passed all my professional life trying to build bridges between these three areas and institutions. So the project that brings me here is Coimbra Sustainable Tourism Large Language Model, which is a big name for a project that nowadays is most known as Shift Coimbra. The idea is to use large language models to create better experiences for tourists and local communities while supporting the development of a sustainable tourism destination. We do have to have in mind that this is not a research project funded by research institutions, but this is an European Urban Initiative Innovative Actions financing program, which means that this is a way to pursue European urban policies. So, which is a very interesting way of making some connections between these three different stakeholders. So I'll try to be brief in terms of context and challenge of the project. So try to also highlight some of our ideas in terms of green transition in tourism, then to really reinforce the quadruple helix collaboration and how we do that in the project. And finally, not really a call to action, but some lessons learned along the way. It's only a small way because the project has 3.5 years. We are only in the first one, so we have a lot to learn and to do. So the starting point is the idea that in Coimbra we do have a lot of visitors, 500,000 per year, and this number increased or doubled in 10 years, mostly because of the recognition of Coimbra as a UNESCO heritage city. So this brings some numbers to the table also. We do have a lot of visitors, but they do tend to stay few nights. Well, you are going to be here for the conference for several days, so thank you so much for upgrading our number of nights. But in fact, mostly the visitors do not stay a long time, because they do not know, for instance, what to do in the city and what to do in the region. But because the tourism in Coimbra mainly focus on the UNESCO area, and this brings a lot of pressure and challenges for the city. Pressure in terms of infrastructure, for instance, that and services that support visitors, and challenges in terms of how do we react to this pressure. And we really thought to build a project based on the need for an holistic, integrated approach that conciliates different areas. For instance, the idea of the need for having trained professionals to be really adapt to the challenges of a sustainable tourism destination, so a big focus on having people properly prepared to receive, and to another focus on sustainability. How can we implement sustainable practices among visitors, among companies, among residents, and also how to build data and have a collection of data that supports businesses, institutions, also academia, and but to support also the ones that live in Coimbra and that visits Coimbra, and how can we relate with them in several contexts. So The idea is to develop Coimbra as a leading sustainable tourism destination by combining innovation, sustainability, and heritage preservation. So this led us to the need to have a multi-stakeholder approach to the project. So, and we do really engage everybody in the different moments of the project, between the idea and the application. We did engage a lot of different stakeholders. For instance, we do have the municipalities, meaning the municipality of Coimbra, but also the municipalities of the Coimbra region. So in the end, we have 19 municipalities working within the project. We had a close relation to academia, namely two higher education institutions, the Polytechnic University of Coimbra and the University of Coimbra, and also a support institution of universities, which is IPN, Instituto Pedro Nunes, which is a rather known incubator of Coimbra, and make a really good connection between science, knowledge, companies, and put everybody together to work on innovation. And then we have companies working with us, really connected to the construction of solutions, and we do have the civil society as a main pillar of our approach, because we really need them to co-create the sustainable tourism solutions. And when we talk about green transition in tourism, we need to realize that for us, sustainability in tourism is mainly a way to achieve balance between some contradictory things. For instance, the tourism activity and the tourism growth, with the need for have a balanced territory where people that live here feel comfortable, have quality of living, and we do really have in mind the need for have a particular care about social questions, economical issues, environmental and cultural issues because of our heritage and our patrimony. So to be a sustainable destination is mainly to have a place or a destination where residents have quality of life and are engaged in the development of the sector, but also in development of their own territory. And this, in terms of project, broadly, we can say that we do achieve this sustainability or this kind of green transition in tourism, addressing, for instance, three different aspects. In terms of green skills, which is a main focus on the project, in terms of having training programs for workforce development. We do have also an idea of having a certification model related to sustainability in tourism, maybe also a way to answer to these challenges of sustainability. And also we do have an intention to have sustainable practices, namely by the implementation of some pilot projects by the municipality. So if we look at our work packages, this is very green, and some just to have some ideas of how we do engage people in different work packages and in different objectives. When we do talk about having a welcoming destination and the idea of having the workforce clearly capacitated to receive people, we do count with the work of two of our institutions, namely the Polytechnic University and another school of Coimbra that is an hospitality school with a very strong connection with the technical and professional skills. And they work alongside with the industry to set a labor observatory of tourism. The idea is to really understand what are the needs of the market, and then to make adapted programs, training programs for the different kinds of workers, in terms of programs for upskilling and reskilling professionals, but also a dedicated project or program for migrants and to train migrants, with the idea that having migrants really into our way of seeing tourism and receive others is also a way to integrate them in our society, and also it's a way to clearly respond to the need of workforce in tourism. So then we have another area in terms of sustainable destination. We have a lot of activities going on, but this idea of having a certification model is only possible if we do engage residents, visitors, industry on the definition of the indicators that should be on this framework. So the universities of Coimbra is now doing a work in terms of making some workshops, some surveys, setting some selfie panels, so they can also work on this model of sustainability. And this is very interesting to notice that the work is always being done among all the partners. I put here the names of the partners, but in fact, they do really engage with each other and do discuss their activities together. And so we also have, in terms of bringing different views and this idea of greening tourism, also in terms of entrepreneurship and giving the tools to startups to make green businesses, to put them some of their ideas into practice, and also we'll have financial support for the certification of companies already in the market, some touristic companies. So this is a way of course, of engaging different sectors and different people. And when we talk about having a smart destination and having use of large language models and in artificial intelligence, we really are working alongside with municipalities, companies, and, well, institutional stakeholders to have a big online repository for data that can be helpful for all of them in different kinds. For instance, for residents and visitors, having a tool to relate with them and to interact with them in different stages. For instance, for visitors before they come to Coimbra, when they are here, and to support their visit in Coimbra, but also when they leave, to say to us what kind of things can we improve, for instance, but also having some data that can be useful for companies and to institutions to better plan their action. And finally, this pillar of transfer, the idea of having this European Urban Initiative, they have the strong focus of experimenting solutions. And the idea is to experiment and to draw some solutions here in Coimbra and then to test them in different territories. And so Joana mentioned 3 cities along the way, and the idea is that they accompany us during our journey, and I believe that from the second semester on, they are starting to work themselves in some of the pillars that they will transfer, and they will try it. For instance, in terms of training, I know that our colleagues from Padova are really interested to understand our way of work and how they can translate and transfer these good practices for their territory. So finally, more than a call to action, some ideas, some highlights, some insights. This multi-stakeholder collaboration and also inclusive governance is key to this kind of projects and approaches. We do have, in fact, a lot of meetings. Joana and Danielle, mainly, they do have to meet with me and with other colleagues a lot of times, but these two really reinforce our connection and our sense of being part of a project and of a solution. Also, to engage citizens from an early stage is very important for them to be part of the solution and not being something that we have to do because it's good or it seems interesting to have in the projects. We really need to understand how others feel about the way we see the territory and to incorporate their perspectives in our solutions. And this means that we have a big challenge that is to build trust and to bring community to our side. And this is a very long-term process, and it's we really have to be creative sometimes to engage with others and to be open to other ideas that are not sometimes the ones that we relate the most, but we should try them. And then we have to have some management of expectations. We are not going to change the world with one project, but we do need to understand that these co-creation processes make grounds for other activities, for other projects, and for a real evolution. So in the end, I'll say that the collaboration across academia, industry, and community, it is in fact critical for a sustainable and resilient tourism model that can be adapted globally, not only in Coimbra, but all over the world. So thank you so much for your attention, and I hope I did not.
Thank you, Angela. So to bring the fundamental student perspective into our session, I am pleased to introduce Daniel Aragão. Daniel, also a colleague and a friend. So Daniel Aragão has a degree in economy and is the president of the executive committee of FAIR Portugal and president of the Municipal Youth Council of the Municipality of Coimbra. He considers himself a social entrepreneur with a strong capacity for empathy and personal resilience, true, and his commitment to youth and cultural associations as well to social and civic issues represents one of the essential pillars of his development as an individual who strives for both individual and collective happiness and well-being. Thank you, Daniel. You are really an example. So, Daniel is the president of FAIR, and FAIR is a national federative structure representing higher education students, founded in 2001 with the mission of fostering the internationalization of Portuguese higher education. FAIR represents Portuguese students within the European Students' Union, an organization that brings together 20 million students from 40 countries. This representation allows us to monitor and actively engage in international initiatives, contributing to the promotion of Portugal within the European higher education system and also across Europe as a whole. It's wonderful to have you, Daniel, and please share with us the student perspective, which is completely fundamental for us.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Firstly, I would like to thank President Professor 𝐁𝐿𝐵𝐺𝐻 for the invitation and Joanna for her kind introduction. If I first should present some slides, I would say, and they should be somewhere right here, I hope. Exactly. So FAIR Portugal, as Joanna already explained, is an organization that represents abroad 400,000 students from Portugal, with a distribution, I would say, evenly from continental mainland Portugal. We are working as a full members of the European Students' Union, an organization that represents more than 20 million students all across Europe from 40 different countries. One of the most strategic priorities that we are developing and that's a bit of the reason I think you are all here, is the European University Alliances Initiative. In 2023, in December, we welcomed in Coimbra the first meeting of student representatives, a network that European Students' Union developed in order to foster cooperation and dialogue between student representatives from the different alliances. Back then, I think the number of alliances was around 40. Now we have a very, very good participation in Portugal, 3 times the average at the EU level of higher education institutions in these projects. So in November last year, we created the first student network for Portuguese student representatives. So this is a very important initiative because the European University Alliances need to be focused on students. Students, as I should say, are the beginning, the middle, and the end of higher education. One of the key issues that is also now a very important criteria of selection of approval or non-approval by the Commission is the active engagement of student representatives within the governance of alliances. So it is important that your student representatives, so each institution has at least one student representative, that the student representative comes from the student unions or that has the democratic process of a universal election, and then that the student representatives may have a governance body, as all governance bodies you may have, because students need to have a place to speak for themselves. We are not only passive agents in higher education. If we don't draft, if we are not engaged in the construction of higher education, institutions are nothing. So if institutions, if projects such as the alliances have to do something, have to be fruitful and have to continue, we need to be in the center of the decision-making process. And this will bring me to the last point, which is we also need to have a vote. You may have different structures, it may call general council, executive committee, board. We, the students, should also have a vote, because if we don't, something is going to get wrong, because if I might say, we are the best to speak for ourselves. And in what comes to alliances, in some alliances, students have 1/3 of the vote in this kind of general councils, executive committees, and others is less than 1/7 or nothing. This will be a signal for some alliances to not continue further. So it is really important, because we, the students, want to contribute. We want to work, because we know, especially in Portugal, with such limitations and such difficulties, these projects may be the future of higher education. These projects allow in institutions as a whole to have a shot further. So we want to give our help, we want to give our voice, so the programs that you draft are useful. So the programs that you have will have students applying for it. And it is also important that even having, for example, a field which is more specific, that all the action should be spread through all the academia. Because, for example, green skills are completely necessary for the whole academia. So this is my short introduction, my short presentation. I hope I have been a bit provocative. Thank you very much.
thank you. My name is Lukáš Pospíšil from Agriculture University of Iceland, and I have a question for the president of FAIRY. Because what you mentioned, so maybe just something for clarification, if I understood the message right, but you mentioned that the involvement of students in the governance of the alliance is really a key thing that will be evaluated by the Commission. And as UNIgreen is in its last year of implementation of the first project, so you say that we should really work on making sure that the student council and involvement of students on all levels of the self-governance are actually essential. And if we will not deliver this, then it may even be considered as, let's say, troublesome or worrying sign for the quality of the alliance and its setting. Is it correct?
Should I?
Yes.
Thank you for the question. Thank you for the question. It is one of the criteria. In the first call, and the first two calls of the alliances, it was not a criteria to have a student governance bodies. At the moment, it is very much a strong and relevant point. And if I might say, there are alliances with a broader relevance, but all of them have until now, the contact that, in the case of FAIR, for example, we are engaging and helping our union members. For example, here in the Polytechnic University of Coimbra, all the student unions are also our associates. So they as well want to engage and to be more engaged within the alliance as a whole. So I'm here and doing a bit of a non-disclosed, we are going to have a meeting later, so we can help as well the alliance to have an implementation of a student council, and it is really important, not only in the case of having a student representative coming from each institution, to have a governance structure and to have a vote as well. That is very much important.
Thank you, Daniel. Anyone, another question to also focusing, of course, in the participation of students in the alliance, which is very important for the governance of the alliance, and also the municipalities that should be engaged. Each municipality of each university involved in an alliance can be invited to participate, to participate in the debates, to be involved in the activities, to be invited also to make the connection with incubators, or for instance, it depends on the activities that are being developed with enterprises, companies, hospitals, whatever the activity is being developed within the alliance. And of course, also the projects that were presented by Professor José Gaspar and Dr. Sónia 𝐁𝐿𝐴 are very important to understand also the engagement with the problems and the challenges that the communities faced, in your case the rural fires, and in your case the involvement, Dr. Sónia 𝐁𝐿𝐴, of the stakeholders and the challenges that you face to keep up the commitment of the stakeholders in the projects. And this, it's the same in the alliances, so perhaps we can also speak and debate about this. Anyone? Also regarding tourism, tourism and the touristic strategy of each city, and the example that Shift give us all is the connection with the universities, with the Polytechnic University and other stakeholders to develop a strategy, in this case sustainable tourism strategy, to be implemented in the city. Since we don't have still questions, I would pose a question. Oh, you have? Okay.
Hello. Thank you all for your presentations. It was very interesting. I'm glad that I'm sorry I don't remind your names, but I'm glad that the two last speakers talked about citizens and students, because I was wondering from the start of the presentations, how do we include people who are, for example, non-academic people, or people who are not from companies or NGOs or any kind of institutions actually. I was wondering, how do we include these people, like random citizen, I would say. The fact is that a lot of people have a lot of struggle, in particular, I would say, in environmental areas, agricultural areas. Are we, as institutions, academic institutions, are we including these peoples who don't come from any kind of institutions or associations, etc.? I think that the person who spoke first today was talking about social sciences and interdisciplinary approaches. I find that from a social science perspective, it would be great to have the point of view of working people who have a lot to say about some things that we are studying in academy, but are we including them actually? And I feel like we have had this kind of approach with the two last presentation, but not from the beginning, and it was something I felt like it was missing, maybe. So yeah, what about that? Are you talking to these people who could have a lot of things to say actually, because they are on the field and on the struggles, and they sometimes don't have time to and energy to spend in associations, etc. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I think these questions can be answered by any of our speakers, because they all interact with citizens and they are triggered. All the projects that were presented here are being implemented with the collaboration and triggered by the needs of the citizens themselves and the challenges that society faces. So Professor 𝐁𝐿𝐴, perhaps you can start explaining, in your case, the connection and the involvement of citizens and people that can be engaged with your project.
In these projects that I've been talking about, most of them, when they are related with services or changes that affect our population or economy, or that introduces new approaches of management, most of them have participatory approaches that involve the population and the stakeholders in the process. The part, probably the more industrial part, and well, that doesn't have it so much. So it's more a change of process, only that. The other ones usually have. And also, for example, the ones related with forest fires, when most of them really are involved in terms of management, land use. Most of them, they use participatory approaches. We have a project, for example, here in Coimbra, that is called Resist, related with urban areas located in small villages located in forest areas, that usually we work with them in order to involve them in the processes. So in most of the situations, when this is, it has to be addressed with a participatory, it could be directly or within inquiries, or they can send suggestions for them, or we can do also other ways that is called living labs that involve all the population on that area. For example, we have two. One is located here in Lausanne, another one is located in Penafiel, that involves this type of approaches. So it's a question that is always on the process of the projects that we've developed.
Well, in the case of eclectic, according to our experience, it's really challenging to get stakeholders from all the groups, but particularly from companies.
It's a reality that nowadays people have a lot of invitations for a lot of things. They receive a lot of emails, and it's challenging to bring them to the workshops. But once they are in the workshops, in the work sessions, I think they feel they have they learn something. They give fruitful contributions. But one of the main challenges is, okay, they give contributions, but what will do the 𝐶𝐻 institutions do with their contributions? What do the government or the institutions have to give them back? Because they give their time and their knowledge and their experience, but often they feel that they don't receive anything back. So, of course, they go there and they make connections for future collaborations and future projects. But what is the consequence, the real consequence in terms of their daily lives, of their contribution? I think this is the main challenge.
Okay, so well, the focus of this sustainable tourism project has really had to do with stakeholders' engagement in different ways, forms, but also knowing that we do have a network of partners working with us. So one of the things is how we get advantage of their network. And for instance, when we work with the School of Hospitality, they have their own connections in terms of with industry and with municipalities they used to work. And so sometimes they can reach them easily. And one of the challenges is to really understand who can help us and who can help us to open the door to others. And then effectively do something that also answers to their calls. Because if you want only to know what they think, it's not going to be really constructive. So the idea is to have them on board on creating the solutions. So it's not only about answering surveys or having like an opinion of this on that, but it's really working with them to what can this, for instance, this tool be helpful for you? What do you want to see on the dashboard? For instance, in our digital tool, it's going to be very important to have the feedback of users. So, for instance, after we have a beta version, we'll lay it to the stakeholders, and they will help us to understand what works and what did not work. So it's like, well, really a civic science connection, even though, for instance, that this digital tool is being developed by a company. For them, it's very interesting to work with others because they are only used to work with other companies. And having them working with higher education institutions, with local government, for instance, is very, very demanding because the times are different. They are not used to have long periods of time to have decisions or to have public procurement or something. And this difference of time sometimes is very challenging, and to get them on board and to make them to understand these differences is it's a very, very interesting challenge to face every day. But in fact, I think the key is to have different perspectives and the openness to have different solutions for different stakeholders. If we, for instance, have the opportunity to incorporate stories of the city that people, regular residents, have to give us, we can incorporate these stories in our tools in terms of, well, this is not a touristic project or nothing, but it's information that usually people don't know. And to have this openness, to have this kind of contributions along the way, it's very important so people can feel also very engaged in the final solution, and engaging them on the real solution is very, very important.
Daniel?
In our project, in this case of the network for student representatives, we provide them with training, we provide them with a platform so they can share the best practices on what can they improve at their own respective alliances. In the case of the involvement of citizens and the academia as a whole, that's a very difficult question, and that is one of the most important. How can we make alliances fruitful for everyone? One of the answers might lie in associated partners, and I think we've seen how they can impact in terms of projects. To give an example, there are alliances that have a multitude of partners in what comes to youth, for example, to student unions that are formally associated partners, Erasmus student networks, sections that are formally student associated partners. So associated partners are a very important way, and that sometimes can create some networks between themselves and engage and run for EU-funded or other kinds of funded initiatives. So that is really important. And to also have a focus on mobility as well and opportunities for everyone within the higher education institutions. If you create an activity that is open to everyone, that is giving opportunities for those that might not have it. And in what comes to mobility, for example, in Portugal, we are at 9% level, which should be 25. So alliances could be a very good way to provide mobility, which is eye-opening for so many.
Yes. And to wrap up, to finalize our session, I would raise a little challenge for all of us to think about this. How can we improve the impact of each one of your projects that you kindly presented here today to all of us? How can you improve using and taking advantage of the European University Alliances, and in concrete, the UNIgreen Alliance? 8 universities are here, 8 European universities, highly specialized, highly recognized, internationally very important for Europe. So how can we, and you in concrete, and the projects that were presented here, and many others that we all have in our minds within our work in the institutions that we work, how can we take advantage of the UNIgreen international scope of the 8 universities that are here? And with these 8 universities are 8 cities, are 8 municipalities, and thousands of stakeholders that, of course, interact with these universities. So how can we take advantage of this opportunity? As it is, in fact, a very, very important opportunity. It is the opportunity that will change Europe, because we have to keep in mind that the focus is to give internationalization, as you explained, to the students, internationalization to the institutions, and with this comes all the context of the cities that are working with these universities. So thank you, Professora Malsa, for the opportunity to be here to present our projects and to use UNIgreen and all the teachers that are organizing this event. Please let us know how can we interact with you, interact with us. We are all in contact through the Polytechnic University of Coimbra. We are at your disposal for everything you need for us. Já está.
We thank to our moderator and panelists for this rich and engaging discussion and for sharing concrete experience, challenges and visions for the future. This brings us to the conclusion of the formal program of the UNIgreen International Conference 2026. We would like to thank all speakers, moderators, panelists and participants for their valuable contributions and active engagement throughout the afternoon. We now invite you to join us for a networking moment at the Beirão d'Honra cocktail, where we will have the opportunity to continue conversations and strengthen connections in a more informal setting. Thank you once again for being a part of this conference, and we wish you an enjoyable remainder of the day.